Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Shri Radhe, Jai Radha Govind, Radha Govinda, Shri Radhe, Jai Jagannatha, Jai Jagannatha, Jai बलदेवा जय सुभद्रामा जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रामा जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्वा जय पंचतत्वा जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय षड गोस्वामी जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय गुरु परंपरा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय नाम संकीर्तन की जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
पाद की जय श्रील गुरुदेव की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल सभी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji, for the beautiful, beautiful thing. I enjoyed singing with you while on mute. Hare Krishna.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी।
We'll chant the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye nashtapraeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya भगवतीर उत्तम श्लोके भक्ति भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये Vam cha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's Mataji's welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav course. So this weekend has been very, very special. Many of you would know one of a very exalted Vaishnavas in our movement, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. So from ISKCON Chowpatty, Prabhuji is currently visiting Pune for some of the administrative related services. But during that yatra, Prabhuji also is giving classes. So personally, I couldn't attend the class earlier this morning because I was finalizing some of the preparatory points for the other batch. But overall, the weekend has been very, very blissful and slight relief from the incessant rain that Pune and Mumbai has been facing since last couple of weeks. So just one point for the topic that we are planning to cover for the other batch later today is from the Bhakti Vedanta Vanaprastha camp that I had recently attended and which I had mentioned on our group, where 2 of the 6 symptoms, limbs of Sharnagati, namely Goptrutva Varanam, which means totally depending on Lord Krishna as the sole source of our maintenance, and Atmanikshep. Atmanikshep means complete self-surrender unto Lord Krishna. So we will be discussing bit deep dive notes from this Vanaprastha camp discussion. And if devotees feel, if time permits, we can have a separate slot planned for this to go through these notes. But personally, I found it very, very inspiring. So many devotees from the Hindi batch, they are in this age group where devotees have requested bit more deep dive discussions we'll be having. So maybe sometime next few weeks we can plan for English batch as well. So coming back to our discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, second chapter, entitled The Lord in the Heart. So we see in the first chapter of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami mentioning the supremacy of devotional service in various texts, including text 5, 10, 11, and also mentioning how this path of devotional service is not just applicable for the devotees, but even persons from the other transcendental path, other transcendentalists, including the Gyanis, the Yogis, they also ultimately need to take to the path of bhakti, or they need to include bhakti in a prominent way in their own transcendental pursuit to achieve perfection in their pursuit. Even if somebody, as we will see as part of our discussion today, even if somebody were to attain impersonal Brahman liberation, even he needs to have some portion of bhakti included in his or her pursuit to be able to achieve that particular destination. And this is based on the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam, authority of Shukadev Goswami. And then we see that Shukadev Goswami, in order not to sound dogmatic, that means just because I am saying you should accept this conclusion, Shukadev Goswami in order to attend to various classes of transcendentalists who were present in that particular assembly, which also included Gyanis, which also included yogis. Shukadev Goswami goes into great detail explaining the universal form of the Lord, the process of meditation on the universal form as well as on the Paramatma form, how there are two types of classification of the yogis that we saw. Those yogis who have got some vestiges of tendency to enjoy materially in this world, in their heart, they are advised to meditate on the universal form, Virata Rupa, which, although it is considered as the material temporary form of the Lord, it is an authorized process. So, we discussed how the gains that one derives from this particular process are substantial. That means they also achieve the same supreme destination as the Paramatma meditating yogis achieve, mainly the liberation or achievement of Brahman platform, the Brahma Jyoti effulgence emanating from the body of the Lord. So they also achieve the same liberation, but it is called as Krama Mukti. Krama Mukti means step by step liberation. What all different stages are there, we will discuss. And Shukadev Goswami describes the Virata Rupa, then he describes the process of meditating on the Virata Rupa. Then in the chapter number 2, Shukadev Goswami goes into detail about description of the Paramatma form of the Lord, the super soul expansion of Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Kshiro Dakshaya Vishnu as the Paramatma. And Shukadev Goswami also explains the process that a Paramatma meditator follows to focus his mind on Paramatma and how he totally cleanses his or her heart. And then we also saw how the Paramatma meditating yogi, he achieves the supreme goal for his pursuit, namely the uh, liberation, namely the liberation merging into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence of the Lord. And in the last part of this particular chapter, text 22 onwards, where we concluded last time, Shukadev Goswami explains how the Virata Rupa meditator, how the meditator on the universal form of the Lord, he achieves Krama Mukti or Kramasha Mukti, which is step by step liberation, and how he follows that particular process or path, which is called as Achira Marga. Achira Marga. So don't get confused or overwhelmed with these technical terms. As we go through the slides, you should understand it more clearly. So let us go through the slides. Hmm. All right, so this is the verse. We will again go through this verse once in order to have the continuity. So anyone would like to recite Prabhuji's Mataji's Hare Krishna? Mahesh Prabhu, you want to recite Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Text 22. Yadi prayasyan nipaparameshthyam
यदि प्रयास्यन्पपारमेष्यम्
vehayasano namut yad viharam
वैयाध्यसानां यद्विहारम्
अष्टाधिपत्यं गुणसन्निवाये
अष्टाधिपत्यं गुणसन्निवाये
सहेव गच्छेन मनसेन्द्रियैश्च
सहैव गच्छेन्मनसेन्द्रियैश्च
Translation by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. However, O king, if a yogi maintains a desire for improved material enjoyments, like transference to the topmost planet, Brahmalok, or the achievement of the eightfold perfections, travel in outer space with the Vayasas, or a situation in one of the millions of planets, then he has to take away with him the materially molded mind and senses. Should I read the purport also, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you're on mute. Prabhuji.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Apologies. So we won't read the purport, Mahesh Prabhu, we'll see the highlighted points. So last time we had mentioned that when we talk about a yogi, a Virat Rupa meditating yogi, who has got some tendency to enjoy materially, mean that that particular personality is outright enjoyer? What is the answer, Prabhuji's Mataji's, what we discussed last time? Does it mean that the person is an outright enjoyer?
No.
No. Right. So what is the example we gave, Prema Priya Mataji, to explain? Discussed about a person who has desire to travel from, say, Mumbai to Delhi. You remember this example?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And that person very much has the desire to reach the destination, to say Delhi, but on the way, during the train journey, he or she also wants to experience or test some of the delicacies that are being made in the pantry car, thinking that, while I want to pursue this journey, on the way, I also want to try some of the food that is available in the train journey. So does it mean that the person doesn't want to go to the destination? Definitely he wants to go. That's why he is taking this long, arduous journey. But along with that, he also wants to test some of the delicacies, which is a side desire than reaching the destination. So similarly, the Virat Rupa meditating yogi, when Srimad Bhagavatam says that he has got some desires for material enjoyments, it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to attain the Supreme Lord. Definitely. And as in the coming verses, we will see how Lord Himself gives such a yogi a very distinguished set of facilities that which are not available to the pious materialist. So these type of yogis are treated totally differently in the higher planetary systems, where some of the pious materialists also go, but there is a difference, Srimad Bhagavatam says, between the two categories of personalities. So
Excuse me, Prabhuji. Excuse me. But then what is the difference between the yogi and a devotee, Prabhuji?
we will come to that, Mataji. Okay, so basically a devotee typically means nishkama bhakta. That means he does not have any desires for personal gratification. His only desire is to gratify the senses of the Supreme Lord. So he's totally aligned with the will of the Lord, unlike the yogi who also has, not only yogis, unlike the yogis and the jnanis and the karmis. The karmis are not considered as transcendentalists. But yogis and jnanis, although being considered as transcendentalists, they also have got some selfish desires. What type of selfish desires? Which are listed here. For example, Vaihayasanam Utayat Viharam. They want to enjoy visiting and roaming around the places which are visited by the residents of the higher planetary systems, namely the Vaihayasas. Like, say, for example, in the heavenly planets, there are beautiful gardens called Nandan Kanan gardens. So, in that Nandan Kanan garden, we read in Krishna book that how Lord Krishna one time was coming back after helping the Devatas fight the Asuras, and uh, how Krishna brought back the Parijataka flowers and Satyabhama wanted, because Rukmini was given the Parijataka flowers, Satyabhama wanted uh, for herself as well. And Krishna, in order to please his pet queen, he got the Parijataka tree from that Nandankanan garden. And the same Indra, who had just taken help of Lord Krishna some time back in order to fight the Asuras, he became ready to fight Lord Krishna in order to protest Krishna taking away that Parijata flower. The point is, There are beautiful, beautiful gardens in the higher planetary systems, and the type of material enjoyment which one can experience in those planets, the status, it just cannot be compared to the material enjoyment in this material world. It is way too higher, but again, conclusion, as we will see by Shukadev Goswami, he considers all of it as distraction in the end. But let's go through first what are the types of material desires that the Virata Rupa meditator harbors or has in his heart. So Vaiha Yashanam Utayat Viharam Ashtadipatyam Gunasannivaye. And he also can have desire to enjoy the eightfold mystic perfections, the Anima, Mahima, Laghima, all these type of various siddhis, which means becoming lighter than even the wind, becoming heavier than even Mount Meru, becoming smaller than even a speck of dust, and becoming huge like any material creation. So all these are type of siddhis, or even understanding other person's mind, or being able to totally control the other person, the process of vashikaran, which means totally. So these are all mystic siddhis, and all these siddhis, sometimes the Virat Rupa meditator can have an aspiration to experience and to enjoy these mystic perfections. So this is also one of the material desire. Sahaiva Gachen Manasain Driyaischa. And because of his desires to enjoy these material enjoyments in this world, he also carries his gross and subtle body, namely the body made up of Panchamahabhuta and subtle body made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego wherever he goes. And in the coming verses, we will see how, as part of the Krama Mukti or Kramasha Mukti, step by step liberation, he gives up the gross elements of his bodily coverings, followed by the subtle elements. So that will come one by one. So here we had concluded last time. Anyone has got any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna. If not, we proceed from text 23 onwards. Now, some of the points may seem bit technical, but consider it that because these are the words spoken by Shukadev Goswami, if we put our best intelligence forward to try and understand it, purification is guaranteed. So we may not follow the process. We would stick to the conclusion that Shukadev Goswami gives later in the chapter, but we should try to utilize our intelligence to understand the process that Shukadev Goswami is explaining of Virata Rupa meditation. So let's proceed with text 23. Prema Priya Mataji, you want to recite, Mataji?
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. योगेश्वराणां गतिमाहुरन्तर्
योगेश्वराणां गतिमाहुरन्तम्
बहिस्त्रिलोक्या पवनान्तरैरात्म्याम्
बहिः स्त्रिलोक्या पवनान्तरात्मनाम्
न कर्मभीतां गतिम् आप्नुवन्ति
न कर्मभिस्तां गतिमाप्नुवन्ति
विद्या तपोयोगसमाधिभाजाम्
विद्यात् तपोयोगसमाधिभाजाम्.
Hare Krishna. Shall I read the purport?
Before we go to the translation, just as we were discussing that particular point, that a yogi attaining higher destinations of higher planetary systems versus a karmis attaining the higher planetary system, there is a difference between the two. So this particular verse explains why that difference exists and how, what type of activities yogi specifically does, which a karmi does not perform. And when we say karmis can also go, they can only go up to a certain extent as far as the higher planetary systems are concerned. Mainly, the karmis can only reach up to Swargaloka, which is the topmost planet of material enjoyment based on the karmi way of life, based on the materialistic way of life. The planets above Swargaloka, including the Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and ultimately Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, there also enjoyment exists, but that enjoyment is in higher realm compared to the enjoyment of material senses that is available in Swargaloka. So let's see what are the differentiating factors. Translation, Mataji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The transcendentalists are concerned with the spiritual body. As such, by the strength of their devotional service, austerities, mystic power, and transcendental knowledge, their movements are unrestricted within and beyond the material worlds. The fruitive workers or the gross materialists can never move in such an unrestricted manner.
Thank you. Thank you. So here, Shukadev Goswami is using a very specific word to describe such kinds of advanced yogis. Now, don't get confused by the word either devotees or transcendentalists. Understand the context of our discussion. First, we covered the Paramatma meditating yogi. Now we are covering the Virat Rupa meditating yogi, how he attains perfection. So, Shukadev Goswami is calling these personalities Bahistrilokya Pavanantar Atmanam, just like Pavana. Pavana means
Wind, Prabhuji.
it can travel internally, externally without any restrictions. Similarly, such types of advanced yogis, Virat Rupa meditating yogis, they can also travel in three lokya, higher planetary system, middle planetary system, and lower planetary system without any restriction. And we also see similar type of glorification that Srila Vyasadeva previously uh, offered to his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni. Prema Priya Mataji, is this verse visible?
Yes, Prabhuji. Visible, Prabhuji. Yeah. Shall I read it, Prabhuji? Yeah. Tam Paryatan Arka Iva Trilokim Antascharo Vayur Ivatma Sakshi Paravare Brahmani Dharmato Vrataha Snatasya me Nyunam Alam Vichakshya. I'll read, Prabhuji. Like the sun, your goodness can travel everywhere in the three worlds. And like the air, you can penetrate the internal region of everyone. As such, you are as good as the all-pervasive supersoul. Please, therefore, find out the deficiency in me, despite my being absorbed in transcendence under disciplinary regulations and vows. Srimad Bhagavad Gita 1.5.7. Sri Vyasadeva glorifying the position of Sri Narada Muni.
Thank you, Madam. So here we see Srila Vyasadeva giving the similar type of comparisons to his spiritual master Narada Muni by saying that he is just like the wind or the air which can go inside, outside in any region of the creation without any restriction. And similarly, Narad Muni just like as good as the super soul, all pervasive Paramatma feature of the Lord, who is present in everyone's heart. That means just like Paramatma knows what is going on in every person's heart, Srila Narada Muni is also empowered by the Lord to know as a Trikalagya, past, present, and future, and what is going on in everyone's heart based on his devotional potency. So we here see all three types of personalities. The karmis, they can go to a certain extent, and beyond that, the yogis, they can go like the Virat Rupa meditator being described here. And similarly, we also see great devotees like Narada Muni, they also being able to visit any place and every place. And Srila Prabhupada gives specifically example of a bhakta and a yogi in the purport. So bhakta, he mentions Narada Muni, and yogi, he mentions as Durvasa Muni. So while all these personalities are able to visit the higher planetary system, there is a difference between the three. What is the difference? Can anyone explain? Prabhuji's Mataji's, in plain English, in 1 or 2 statements? What is the difference between these 3 personalities? Anyone?
Complete surrender to the Lord.
Complete surrender to the Lord. So the purpose and the qualification why they are able to visit these various planetary systems is different. A devotee, Narad Muni, is going for what purpose, Murli Prabhu? For
Glorifying the Lord all the time.
Krishna, share Krishna with
Reach Krishna everywhere.
consciousness. That is his purpose. What is the purpose for a jnani and a yogi?
For liberation.
Liberation. And while attaining liberation, they also want to fulfill some of their desires, which
Material desires.
exist in parallel. And what is the purpose of a karmi? He wants to
Upper planetary systems.
directly enjoy his material senses. Very simple, right? So as a result, if we see the 14 planetary system, let me just
But you can go to Swargaloka, Prabhuji, Karmi.
only up to Swargaloka.
Swargaloka, yeah.
So this particular diagram, yes. So all the 14 planetary systems we can see in this. So a karmi, he has got access to go only up till Bhur, Bhuar and Swarga, not beyond that. That means Maharloka and the planets above Maharloka, including Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka, they are not accessible to the ordinary karmis or even extraordinary karmis. They are only accessible to the jnanis, the yogis and the bhaktas, the devotees. Only they can visit these planets. So here in this verse, Shukadev Goswami is explaining na karma bhistam gatim apnuvanti. That means such a Virat Rupa meditating yogi can visit even those planets which are not accessible, which are unaccessible to karmis, to the fruitive workers. Yes. So these personalities, Krama Muktas means those who are going to attain the Krama Mukti, step-by-step liberation, they reach these particular planets based on their yogic uh, the power or based on their transcendental path, what they pursue. But their going to this planet is not like that of karmis. For karmis, what does Bhagavad Gita mention? Prabhuji's Mataji? Bhagavad Gita mentions Kshine Punne Martya Lokam Vishanti. That means as soon as the pious credit is over for a karmi, he has to come back. Just like, for example, very crude example, somebody from country like India wants to go to a place like, materially much more affluent or enjoyable place like some country in Europe or US, and he or she gets a tourist visa, may be valid for 30 days. While that person can enjoy at that particular place, as soon as that 30 days period is over, he must travel back. Otherwise, he becomes an illegal migrant if he stays beyond the limit of his or her visa. So that is the position of a karmi. But the Krama Muktas, that means the yogis and the jnanis, they are able to reside in these planets as long as they please, as long as they like, without being pushed out of those planets to fall back into this material world. So everyone got Prabhuji's Mataji's. What is the difference in qualification? What is the difference in process between these 3 categories of personalities? The karmis, jnanis, and jnanis or yogis you consider as in one vertical, in one category, and bhaktas. What is the difference in their qualifications? And thirdly, on what basis they can reside in those higher planetary systems, for what duration? A karmi, his duration is fixed based on his pious credits. As soon as those pious credits are over, he is forced to come out of those planets and fall back into the Martya Loka, into the earthly planet. As far as the yogis are concerned, they can reside as long as they please, and we will see what purpose they go. They basically go to see what type of enjoyment, what type of facilities are available on those planets. And once their mind is sufficiently satiated, they aspire to go to the higher planets beyond that. So going to the planets like Swargaloka is part of their ascendance. It is not for exactly what purpose the materialists go there. Materialists go just to enjoy plain material enjoyment, whereas the yogis, they go mainly to experience what all facilities exist, and that particular residing on that particular planet is part of the process of ascendance to the Brahma Jyoti for them. Any queries, doubts, Prabhujis, Matajis, Hare Krishna?
Bhaktas, Prabhuji, for Bhakta category.
Bhaktas, typically the pure devotees, they don't go, but those bhaktas who have harbored some material enjoyment mentality, Krishna gives them a facility to enjoy on these planets. So again, they also don't go based on their pious credits, they go based on the strength of their devotional service, if they have not been able to remove the tendency to enjoy materially.
They also ascend, Prabhuji, later after enjoying them.
Yes, so they also can ascend. So basically for bhaktas, the facility is available to go beyond that, even up to the Satyaloka. And then along with Lord Brahma, all the residents of Satyaloka go back home, back to Godhead, provided one practices devotional service. Or if a person does not ascend, then he would have to descend
To
this.
Martyaloka. To Marty.
Correct.
Yes.
The qualification is different. For a karmi, the qualification is material piety. For a yogi, the qualification is the transcendental advancement what they have made on that particular. And for bhakta is also transcendental advancement on the path of devotional service, where some vestiges of material enjoyment can exist, where Krishna can give such a chance. Is that all right, Prema Priya?
Yes, Prabhuji.
But even
Hare Krishna.
yogis have some vestiges of material enjoyment, no, Prabhuji? Yogis also?
Yogis also. So yogis are also going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So point is, not everyone is in the same category, whoever is present on the higher planetary system, and not the destination for everyone is the same. Destination can vary, the person's motivation can vary, the person's qualifications can vary. Is that all right,
Yes,
Prabhuji?
yes. Yes.
So,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One question, Prabhuji. Hello, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
yes, Mahesh bro, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, this like Dhruv Maharaj, I think we say that, he also had initially some material desire, and then he was given his separate loka, like Dhruva Loka. So where is that pole star or Dhruva Loka is located? Which level on these upper planetary systems?
Interesting question, because Srila Prabhupada also mentions pole star or Dhruva Loka as one of the planets which these yogis can attain to. So while it doesn't show up in the 14 planetary system, we understand that it is as exalted or even greater than the topmost planet in this material world, which is Satyaloka. So we can consider it is at least on the platform of Satyaloka, that much exalted, pole star.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Quickly go through the highlighted part.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Highlighted part.
Yeah. The transcendentalists who have nothing to do with the gross material body can move anywhere within or beyond the material worlds. Within the material worlds, they move in the planetary systems of Mahar, Janas, Tapas, and Satyaloka. And beyond the material worlds, they can move in the Vaikunthas as unrestricted spacemen. Narada Muni is one of the examples of such spacemen, and Durvasa Muni is one of such mystics. By the strength of devotional service, austerities, mystic powers, and transcendental knowledge, everyone can move like Narada Muni or Durvasa Muni.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. So here, last statement, Srila Prabhupada explains that there can be various qualifications, including strength of devotional service or austerities, mystic powers, like the yogis and the jnanis. They perform lot of austerities and they have mystic powers. Like Durvasa Muni, he is going based on the strength of his mystic
Mystic.
various planets, or transcendental knowledge like Narada Muni, both devotional service, he has got Bhakti Shakti as well as transcendental knowledge. So based on these qualifications, a person can go to any of these higher planets. But for karmis, there is a limitation. They can go only up till Swargaloka, not beyond that.
So Narada Muni has no mystic powers, absolutely.
He has
Absolutely.
mystic power, but that is based on the strength of his devotional service. Basically, that is not his primary pursuit, mystic powers. His primary pursuit is spreading Krishna consciousness. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's move to the next verse. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji Jagadananda Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
वैश्वानरं याति विहासयागतः
वैश्वानरं याति विहाय स गतः
सुषुम्नया ब्रह्मपतेन शोषिता
सुषुम्नया ब्रह्मपतेन शोषिता
विधूतकल्पोतहरेरुदास्तात्
विधूतकल्पोत्तहरेरुदस्तात्
पश्याति चक्रं नृपशेषुमारम्
नृपशेषुमारम्.
Translation. O king, when such a mystic passes over the Milky Way by the illuminating Sushumna to reach the highest planet, Brahmaloka, he goes first to Vaishwanara, the planet of deity of fire, wherein he becomes completely cleansed of all contaminations. And thereafter he still goes higher to the circle of Shushumara to relate with Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, purport we won't read, Mataji. We would only go through the highlighted part. So here, what Mahesh Prabhu just asked a while ago, where does pole star or Dhruva Tara stand? So here it is mentioned by Prabhupada that the Shishumar circle, it refers to Dhruva, Dhruva Maharaja's abode, pole star. And Vihayasa Gataha, such type of Virat Rupa meditator, they go to all these places which is called as the path of light. Milky Way means the path of light, which is also called as a Chiradi Marga. And what happens when they go, like last verse we saw that they reach up to Maharloka, and how they proceed beyond Maharloka, then they go to Shishumara, Chakra, and even to the higher planetary systems up to Brahmaloka. So in one of the classes on this particular topic, I heard from Srila Prabhupada how there are total 13 in between intermediary destinations that a yogi has an opportunity to go one by one up till Brahmaloka. So Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita does not necessarily mention all 13 because that is not the main purpose of Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. The main goal is to explain pure devotional service. So as far as pure devotional service is concerned, these scriptures go unto utmost details. But there are other scriptures which describe that this Achiradi Marga, which is followed by the yogis, which has got 13 intermediary destinations beyond Swargaloka up till Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. So don't get confused. These 13, the categorization still is within the 3 planetary systems, but the details of the planets, they can differ. So what happens when such a Virat Rupa meditating yogi goes to these higher planets like Shishumar, Chakra, and basically the path of light or Chiradi Marga, their heart becomes completely cleansed of the contaminations. Which contaminations, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Anyone can say? What specific contaminations these yogis have?
Material.
Material.
Material desires.
Sometimes
Material and immaterial desires. All desires.
of wanting to enjoy the material desires or wanting to pursue the material aspirations. So, does it mean that the person is totally cleansed of heart? The answer is no. This is to be understood in a relative manner. Like last time we discussed the example of anartha nivrutti. Anartha nivrutti, does it mean that all our contaminations, anarthas of the heart are removed? The answer is no. Anarthas of the heart are removed to the extent that one can achieve the next platform of nishtha, to the extent that one can achieve the next platform in the process of uh, process of 9 stages of devotional advancement. Similarly, even the Virat Rupa meditator, his heart is cleansed to the level that is required to go to the next planet, namely up to Brahmaloka. So that means the full cleansing of the heart will only happen when one achieves the prema bhakti, when one achieves the pure devotional service to the Lord. Till that time, whatever cleansing process is mentioned, it's only the cleansing that is sufficient to advance to the next stage. Is this confusing? Is it clear, Prabhuji's Mataji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Sorry, Prabhu. Radhika here. Few doubts, Prabhu, on what you said. So, whatever you explained from last class and this class, what you're telling is if the person is little clean, they'll go to one level higher. Some more clean, they'll go one level higher, right? So, if the person is extremely purified, he will go to Dhruva Loka, which is a pole star. But pole star is a permanent, though it is in the material world, it is a permanent Loka, right, Prabhu? So, they can permanently sit there, no, Prabhu?
Me, when we say the word permanent, for example, the residents of the higher planetary systems, including Swargaloka, they are called as Amara. Amar means immortal. On one hand, we say nobody, including Lord Brahma, in this material world is immortal. So, what does it mean when we say permanent residences? Permanent residences means they exist for a very, very long duration of time. But ultimately, only spiritual world is something which has got permanent existence. Similarly, the residents of the higher planetary system, when they are called Amara, it means that compared to us, compared to the residents of the higher, compared to the residents of the earthly planet, they have got a lifespan which is very, very long, but definitely it is still not comparable to the spiritual world.
Okay, so Dhruva Loka is also material world, Prabhu.
In the material world, very true.
Prabhu, I didn't understand the 13 layers, Prabhu. So if from Swarga, like that is Bhur, Bhuvar, Swarga, above that only we have, the 4 lokas, Brahma Loka, which is the highest. But you said some 13 lokas, so I could not follow that.
What you see on the screen, these are not because these are planetary system. So one planetary system can have multiple planets within that realm.
Subplanets. Okay, got it. So that is the 13 count which they are talking. Clear. Thank you so much. Sorry, Hare Krishna.
Swargaloka, it is not just one planet. Swargaloka has got planet where Indra resides. Swargaloka, according to the scriptures, moon is also part of the heavenly planets. So these are all heavenly planets within that realm. Okay.
We have got 430 million demigods, demons. Circle of demons.
Sorry, what, Mataji? Indira Mataji? What is the query?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Any query? Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Shall I read purport?
Purport, hang on. Yes, purport is small one. We can read through this. Yes, Mataji.
The polar star of the universe and the circle thereof is called the Shishumara circle, and therein the local residential planet of the personality of Godhead Kshirodaksai Vishnu is situated. Before reaching there, the mystic passes over the Milky Way to reach Brahmaloka, and while going there, he first reaches Vaishvanara Loka, where the demigod controls fire. On Vaishvanara Loka, the yogi becomes completely cleansed of all dirty sins acquired while in contact with the material world. The Milky Way in the sky is indicated there herein as the way leading to Brahmaloka, the highest planet of the universe. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So one point I wanted to mention just to avoid confusion. Here it is mentioned that the planet of Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, which is Shweta Dvipa. So definitely it is not a material planet. It is a spiritual planet, but it is a spiritual planet deputed by the Lord in the material universe for the conduct of the material world. When the material world annihilation takes place, all these spiritual planets, they enter the spiritual world. Okay? Is that all right? Rasarangini Mataji, all the
Yes,
devotees?
Prabhu. Shwesha, Deepa, Shushruma planet, Dhruva planet, pole star. All four mean the same, Prabhu.
Yeah, Shishumar circle is pole star and is Dhruva Loka also.
And Shushrushmaya planet as well. Right. Thank you, Prabhu.
So these are all the in-between destinations that a Virata Rupa meditating yogi visits before reaching Brahmaloka, before reaching Satyaloka. Are we together, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Any queries, doubts? Hare Krishna. Those who are very quiet, Gita Mataji, Usha Mataji, Murali Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, one question. Prabhuji, these different other lokas, so like the Maharlok, Janlok, Tapolok, Satyalok. So what are the gradations actually, So I think the one point we are understanding that, there are different grades. So the more advancement we do, we keep moving up the ladder, But who typically, like, I think Janalok mentions 7 sages, but in Maharlok, who stays in Maharlok, who stays in Tapalok, Satyalok, I think when Lord Brahma or maybe people who have achieved the highest spiritual realization, maybe, I think they stay there in the Satyalok along with Lord Brahma. Like Tapalok, Maharlok, who stays in these,
To an extent, we get the information as we will see in the subsequent verses, but these are highly spiritually elevated beings. For example, Satyaloka are those personalities who have already perfected their lives, and Srimad Bhagavatam mentions in the coming verses today we will see that the residents of Satyaloka, they don't have any distress or miseries like the miseries exist in the material world except for one, and their only distress is seeing the fallen condition of the people of this poor loka, seeing the fallen condition of people in this earthly planet is their only distress. They feel compassion looking at the condition of fallen people on the earthly planet. Apart from that, they are completely liberated even while being in the material world. And then they achieve, they go back home, back to Godhead along with Lord Brahma at the end of his life. Typically, there can be some exceptions of personality who can perfect their life even before the completion of lifespan of Lord Brahma. But in general, the residents of Satyaloka, along with Lord Brahma, he also takes them back home, back to Godhead. So similarly, Janaloka, the 7 sages, Saptarshis are mentioned. So these are also spiritually very elevated beings. And also one more thing I have heard that Maharloka onwards, all the residents, they have gotten a lifespan as great as Lord Brahma himself. But in terms of capacity, Lord Brahma is the supreme. In terms of his powers, in terms of his knowledge, he is the supreme, topmost being in this material world. But all the residents of Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Brahmaloka itself, Brahmaloka and Satyaloka, these are alternate terms. All of them have got lifespan as long as Lord Brahma, which is 311 trillion 400 billion years. So 2-3 points we understand from these verses. They are spiritually very elevated beings, and then you might ask why they are not in the spiritual world. Because some level of purification of heart is still happening. Some last vestiges of wanting to enjoy material enjoyment are still being cleared slowly, gradually. Last point I wanted to stress that a materialist and a devotee, it is not a black and white classification, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Don't consider that when we talk about devotee, when we talk about a yogi, that means he or she is already cleansed of the material contamination. There are some gray areas also. That means the material contamination is cleansed in a step-by-step process, in the step-by-step manner. And that's why all these planets exist, where to the level of their purification, those beings are placed over there. So meaning some level of purification is still pending, which is happening at that level before they are elevated to go back home, back to Godhead. Is that all right, Mahesh Prabhuji?
But Prabhuji, in Brahmalok also they can die, no? The death is there in Brahmaloka. No?
It is there, but there is no old age, there is no disease, there is no distress. Okay, that means if they properly practice Krishna consciousness there, which is normally expected of those beings, along with Lord Brahma, at the end of his life, they would also go back home, back to Godhead. Okay, Prema Priya Mataji?
But the chance of coming, dying is also there. That's
Chance
also
of coming is there till the time we enter spiritual world. That chance is there. That free. That means anybody wants to misuse his or her free will, he can. If one is determined, wants to come down, nobody can stop him.
Yes, Lord. Clear, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Shall
Hare
we?
Krishna, Prabhuji. You mentioned material piety. What does it mean, material piety?
Piety means pious credit. Say, for example, somebody has done lot of yajna, dana, and tapa. So these are all material pieties. Okay. So typically,
Thank you.
yajna, dana, and tapa. Typically, of course, please don't think that devotees don't do that. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, nobody should give up these three things till the very end. One should continue to do that. But our goal is not material to gain material benefits out of it. But the karmi's goal is to gain material benefit out of these recommended acts. Devotee's goal is to please Krishna.
Material piety also leads to spiritual piety.
It can lead to sukruti. Like say for example, that 4 types of materially pious people who surrender to Lord Krishna, 716. Krishna mentions that those who are distressed, those who are desirous of wealth, those who are inquisitive. So all these personalities, they come to Krishna provided they have got some sukruti. Okay, so
clear. Thank you.
Material piety can give a person a chance to gain that sukruti, but ultimately that sukruti is needed for a person to take up to Krishna consciousness. Just material piety with the intention of material enjoyment will only lead up to Swargaloka. Okay. Shall we proceed? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, any questions, queries? Hare Krishna. I want to hear from those who have not spoken only, then we will proceed. Reena, Mataji, Lalita, Vinodini, Mataji, Mom.
Yes, Prabhuji, continue.
Are good?
Prabhuji, upper planets, 7, Prabhuji, 7. Is it 7 planets in upper?
Yes, so these are 7 which
Lower, 6 planets.
6 plus
Bhuloka. With Bhuloka, 7 planets. Lower planets, 7.
correct. And just to add one more point, lower planet does not necessarily mean hellish planets. Namanishta Prabhuji has also clarified in his classes. There are some lower planetary systems where the opulence is very high, including Sutala Loka, where Bali Maharaj resides. Okay, so hellish planets is just a part of the lower planetary system, but not necessarily every lower planetary system is hellish in nature. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So we proceed with text 25. Anyone would like to recite Prabhuji's?
Any related question, Prabhuji? Maybe silly question, but who then would be going to the lower planets?
Yeah, so there are personalities like those who perform act which cause degradation. So definitely they need to take birth in the lower planetary system. And there are some exceptions like great devotees like Bali Maharaj, who also resides, but Lord also resides with him, Vamanadeva as a gatekeeper. So there are residents, both fallen residents plus some of the great personalities who may be there for any service. Yamaraj, his planet is also near the bottom of the entire 3 planetary system, but he's a very elevated soul. He's there only for service. Okay.
So like Mahajanas also like Yamaraj and like Bali Maharaj, even Mahajans stay in the lower planetary system. So between Sutal and Talatal, you're saying is the Yamalok, is it?
Actually, Yamalok, from what I have heard, it is near to the very bottom. of the entire creation. So probably part of Patal. I don't know the technicality. I will have to check.
Okay,
As
okay.
Nagaloka is also, let's say it is auspicious, Nagaloka and all came in downer planets only, right?
In fact, it is mentioned that all these 14 planetary systems, they are being sustained, they are being held on the
Yes, yes,
of Ananta. So
yes.
Ananta's food is at the bottom of all of this.
But then, Prabhuji, why then, when so much of opulence, then why are they called as lower planetary systems?
Not just opulence in an absolute sense. There are few, like when we go to Canto number 5, we will discuss in detail what are 27 different types of hellish planetary systems which exist there, and what type of wrong activities lead. So not absolute opulence, it has its share of hellish planets as well.
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji.
The last chapter tells actually in the 5th canto.
So we'll proceed. Text 25, Gita Mataji, Hare Krishna, you want to recite?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Tadvishwanaभित्वतिवर्त्य विष्णो
तद्विश्वनाभित्वतिवर्त्य विष्णो
प्रणीयसा विरजेनात्मनैकः
अन्यासा विरजेनात्मनैकः
नमस्कृतं ब्रह्मविधामुपैति
नमस्कृतं
ब्रह्मविदामुपेति
ब्रह्मविदामुपेति
कल्पायुषो यद्विबुधारमन्ते
कल्पायुषो
यद्विबुधारमन्ते.
यद्विबुधारमन्ते.
Translation. The Shishumara is the pivot for the turning of the complete universe, and it is called the navel of Vishnu, Garbhodakashai Vishnu. The yogi alone goes beyond this circle of Shishumara and attains the planet Maharloka, where purified saints like Bhrigu enjoy a duration of life of how much is this, Prabhuji? 43?
4.3 billion years.
4.3 billion.
4.3 billion, okay, solar years. This planet is worshipable even for saints who are transcendentally situated.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So the point I was telling a while ago, that the karmis, based on their material piety, can go only up till Swargaloka. Maharloka onwards is the entry that is available only to the persons more qualified, including the yogis and the jnanis and devotees. So here it is mentioned that Vishwanabhim tva ativartya Vishnu, that if the entire universe is considered like the body of the Lord, then this particular planet, Shishumara circle, is considered like a pivot of that body of the Supreme Lord. Aniyasa virajena atmanaikaha. So here atmanaik, the word ekaha comes, which means alone. Such a Virat Rupa meditator and person similarly qualified can only go beyond Maharloka and onwards. So only before Maharloka, which is Swargaloka, materially pious people, they can go. Yeah. Ekaha, meaning such a yogi alone can travel to these planets, etc., that are higher than Swargaloka. No person with material piety can go Swargaloka. So we proceed. So what happens to a Virat Rupa meditator when he goes to Maharloka onwards is explained in the next verses. Text 26.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, but Shishumara planet is Dhruva planet, no Prabhu. That's a residence of Kshirodakasai Vishnu. Here they mentioned Garbhodakasai Vishnu's pivot. Okay, I'm sort of mixed.
So the residence of Kshirodaksha Vishnu, which is Shvetadvip, is in the realm Shishumara circle. It is not exactly the same planet, but it's like a realm. It is a group of planets which exist at that particular level. So Shvetadvipa exists at that particular level.
So what you're telling me, Shishumara has multiple planets and one planet is Shvetadipa, which is there where Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu is there.
Shishumara circle, basically circle
Oh,
of
Shishumara circle, okay.
Chakra
Like an orbit.
is an orbit like a realm you can consider. Where
Riyam means what, Prabhu?
means a layer.
Okay.
A layer where the equivalent planets are there. Beyond that, also there are transcendental planets, including Janaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka, but they are still in the material world. When the annihilation happens, of course, Shvetadvipa will not be annihilated. It will enter spiritual world. But everything, including Brahmaloka, Dhruvaloka, it will undergo annihilation. Okay?
Thank you.
Prabhuji, this I think in this verse translation mentions that the yogi alone goes beyond the circle of Shishumar. Beyond the circle of Shishumar is beyond pole star, right?
So,
And then they attain the planet Maharlok. So is it like Shishumar is somewhere between Swarglok and Maharlok?
then philosophically speculate. We can philosophically speculate. But in terms of its opulence, we see in the story of Dhruva Maharaj, he had aspired for a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma. So, of the
Oh,
level of opulence, it is equal or even beyond Brahmaloka. We can understand. But in terms
okay.
it appears that it is in between the two planetary systems.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So, text 26, let me request some of the devotees. Lalita Vinodini Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, just want to mention, I was not able to hear all your words properly. It was just up and down, it was going on, it was wavering. So is it my problem, my device problem, or
so
I was not able to hear your words, I said.
We are able to hear him
Okay,
clearly,
okay.
Mataji. So I think maybe your side.
Hold the mic properly. Apologies, but if anyone has
But now it's clear, Prabhuji. Now it's clear. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, your volume is clear, Pran Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Lalita Vinodini Mataji, want to recite?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Ato anantasya mukhanalena.
Ato anantasya mukhanalena.
Dandahyamanan saniriksha vishvam.
Dandahyamanan sanirikshya vishvam.
Niryati siddheshwara yuštadishnyam.
Niryati siddheshwara yuštadishnam.
Yadvai paradyam taduparamishtyam.
We will read the translation, then we come back to some of the words here.
Should I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Please proceed.
I'm not able to hear at all.
Okay.
Yes, please. He's saying yes,
Okay,
please go
okay,
ahead.
okay. Hare Krishna. Translation.
Continue. Hare Krishna.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the time of the final devastation of the complete universe, that is the end of the duration of Brahma's life, a flame of fire emanates from the mouth of Ananta, that is from the bottom of the universe. The yogi sees all the planets of the universe burning to ashes, and thus he leaves for Satyaloka by airplanes used by the great purified souls. The duration of life in Satyaloka is calculated to be how much, Prabhuji?
15.4 trillion years. 15.4 trillion years. Yeah.
105 trillion years.
Trillion years. Should we continue purport?
No, Mataji. Purport is very long, so we will discuss the verse. So here it is mentioned that at the time of annihilation, the residents of the planets, including Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, they all move to higher planetary system, which is Brahmaloka. So typically in third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam talks about 3 types of annihilations. Anyone remembers, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, which 3 types of annihilations? Or we had discussed as well in our discussion earlier. When do the Pralaya annihilation take place? Yes.
Brahma's day.
Brahma ends very
night time.
Yeah. So same thing. Day ends or Brahma's night starts. That time one. Then what is the next one?
When his lifespan is completed, Prabhu, at
Yes.
the time.
Yes. When Brahma's lifespan completes. And third one.
When a Mahayuga completes, Prabhuji.
So Prabhupada specifically quotes Jiva Goswami, not every Yuga Sandhya, okay? But some of the Yuga Sandhyas. That means when the Yugas are changing, one Divya Yuga is completing, next Divya Yuga is starting. Sometimes that time also there is annihilation. So it is mentioned.
1000 Divya Yugas completed 12 hours of Brahma, Prabhuji. 12 hours of Brahma, 1000 Divya Yugas.
That we just mentioned a while ago, when Brahma's
day and night. Day and night.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Hare
Third is when some of the yugas are changing during Yuga Sandhyas, then we have annihilation as well. And whenever such annihilations happen, it is mentioned the fire from Lord Ananta's mouth is only burning till Swargaloka. It is not burning beyond that. Okay. But because the fire is up till Swargaloka, the residents of the higher planetary system, they also they also feel the heat, and they move to the higher planet. And from Janaloka, the residents move even further to the higher planet up till Satyaloka, one by one. Okay, so that is where the Virat Rupa meditating yogi is landing himself up till now. What happens beyond that, we will see in the next verse onwards. One more thing, here the duration of one parardha is mentioned, and one parardha in simple terms, it is 155 trillion. So the lifetime of Lord Brahma is Dvai Parardham. Dvai Parardham means twice 155 trillion, which is around 311 trillion 400 billion years is Dvai Parardham, which is the total lifespan of Lord Brahma. So Parardham means half life of Lord Brahma. Okay, so these are some of the technicalities. Don't get confused. Text 27. Vandita Tungavidya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sayetra soko na jara na mrityuh.
Nayatra shoko najarana mrityu.
Natis na jyotirga prute kutaschet.
Nate chodvega prite kutaschet.
Yachittato adda krupaya nidam vidam.
Yaschittato kripaya nidam vidam.
Duranta dukkha prabhavanudasyanat.
Duranta dukkha prabhavanusharsanat.
Translation. Vandita Mataji, you can read. All right, I will read. In that planet of Satyaloka, there is neither bereavement, nor old age, nor death. There is no pain of any kind, and therefore there are no anxieties, save that sometimes, due to consciousness, there is a feeling of compassion for those unaware of the process of devotional service, who are subjected to unsurpassable miseries in the material world. So this particular verse gives what is the state of consciousness of residents of Satyaloka or Brahmaloka, where the Virat Rupa meditator has till now reached through this process that we are checking. So the residents of Satyaloka, they don't have shoka, they don't have distress or miseries, they don't have jara or old age. And that means whatever Brahma we see in the TV serials with long white beard is not true. Brahma's body is beautiful. He is ever youthful. There is no old age. We can learn from here. And na mrutyur, there is no death. So if at all there is a distress, there is only one distress. What is that distress? Duranta dukkha prabhava vanu darshanat. By seeing the fallen condition, forgetful condition of people of this material world, forgetting Lord Krishna, the residents of Brahmaloka, they feel compassion upon the earthly residents. That is their only distress, so to speak of. Apart from that, there is no other distress for the residents of Brahmaloka. So a Virat Rupa meditator, he achieves this particular level. Yeah. So they only feel compassion for people in this material world who are not Krishna conscious. So otherwise, that life is totally transcendental. Let me request one of the devotees. Tarini Krishna Kanta Mataji, want to read the highlighted part?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Panchanga Pranams, Prabhuji. It is said that one should become a Brahmana before one can understand the Vedic statements. And this stricture is as important as the stricture that no one shall become a lawyer who has not qualified himself as a graduate. Such a stricture is not an impediment in the path of progress for anyone and everyone, but it is necessary for an unqualified understanding of a particular science. Vedic knowledge is misinterpreted by those who are not qualified Brahmanas. A qualified Brahmana is one who has undergone strict training under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Can I continue, Prabhuji? Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Continue.
The Vedic wisdom guides us to understanding our relation with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and to acting accordingly in order to achieve the desired result of returning home back to Godhead. But materialistic men do not understand this. They want to make a plan to become happy in a place where there is no happiness.
Thank you, Mataji. Is my voice clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, for everyone?
Yes, Prabhu, it's clear.
So here it is explained that such Virat Rupa meditator yogis, they achieve the planet, the topmost planet in this particular material creation, that of Brahmaloka, where there is no old age, no miseries, no death. So what do we mean by na mrutyur? Anyone can explain, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, based on our explanation so far? What do we mean by na mrutyur? Does it mean that the residents are immortal there? Anyone?
Prabhuji, they have a long lifespan, and only when the overall pralaya happens and when Brahmaji goes back, that's when they also end their life.
Correct. Thank you, Mataji. So just like their lifespan, when compared to us, when compared to the residents of earthly planet, it is so long, it is as good as immortality only from our point of view. It is like a line that is drawn between the 2 points which are so long, it is as good as infinity. But even they have got mrutyur, just that they have got a very long life. That is the only difference. That's how we understand na mrutyur. I gave the example of sometimes residents of the higher planetary systems being called amara, mentioning death, just meaning that they have very long life. Tarini Mataji, proceed. He is actually
Yes, Prabhuji. He is actually happy because he has no anxiety of material existence. But as a compassionate synthesize, he feels unhappiness for the suffering materialistic men, and thus he occasionally comes before the materialistic men to teach them the necessity of going back to Godhead. All the bona fide acharyas preach this truth of returning home back to Godhead and warn men not to make a false plan for happiness in a place where happiness is only a myth.
Thank you, Mataji. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that many of the great acharyas who descend to this material world, they are such spiritually advanced personalities, sometimes as good or residing on planet equal to Lord Brahma, and they sometime descend to this earth just to preach Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, such transcendentalists, they don't have any distress or misery. Like I often give the example of Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami was such a transcendentalist that he came to that particular place by Lord's arrangement to help Maharaj Parikshit prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. But he was not attached that I have given this much knowledge to all the sages and all the persons who have assembled, including the Devatas and Parikshit Maharaj. Let me make Parikshit Maharaj achieves his destination so that whatever I have preached, I know that it has become successful. Shukadev Goswami was so detached that even before Maharaj Parikshit giving up his body, he had finished his business and moved on to the next place. From that particular place he had left already. So point is, such transcendentalists, they are neither attached to anything in this material world, nor are they concerned. Their only concern is welfare of people in general, for which they try to the best of their ability. But attachment wise, they are not attached to anything of this material world. Is this point clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? How a transcendentalist, while he is compassionate, at the same time he is detached. He is not overly attached to anything in this material world. So we proceed. Today we should conclude the entire chapter, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. So I need your help. Now, what happens to
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
I
Hare Prabhuji. Power cut, Prabhuji. Power cut. Network is not good that way. That's why. Sorry, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Now, what happens to a Virat Rupa meditator beyond reaching Brahmaloka? What happens to him after beyond Brahmaloka? Okay, that is given in the subsequent verses. Text 28. Can we have more devotees? Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji. Hare Krishna.
ततो विशेषं प्रतिपद्य निर्भयस्
ततो विशेषं प्रतिपद्य निर्भयस्
आत्मनापो अनलो मूर्तिरत्वरन् ज्योतिर्मयो वायुम् उपेत्य काले मनाकं बृहत् आत्मलिङ्गम् After reaching Satyaloka, the devotee is specifically able to be incorporated fearlessly by the shuttle body in an identity similar to that of the gross body. And one after another, he gradually attains stages of existence from earthly to watery, fiery, glowing, and airy until he reaches the ethereal stage.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, don't get confused by the word devotee. The description is still going on for the Virat Rupa meditator. Now, what is mentioned in this particular, how does a, let me make it big. Yeah, are you able to view the slide, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
How does a Virata Rupa meditator yogi, he achieve step-by-step liberation, krama mukti, after going beyond Brahmaloka? In our current form, what type of body we have, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Where earth is prominent, correct? So we have earthly element as more prominent compared to water, air, fire, ether, etc.
Yes, Prabhuji.
When a Virat Rupa meditator, now it is time for him to gradually give up his gross and subtle body. In what sequence he gives up his gross and subtle body is given in this verse. So first he gives the body where earth element is prominent, and where, because of the earth element, the sense of smell is prominent. So that gross type of body he gives up. And from gross to subtle, then the yogi next moves to a planet where the water element in the body is more prominent, and along with the water element, the sense of taste is prominent. Then the yogi moves to a body where the fire element is more prominent compared to the other material elements, and then to air, and then to ether in the body when the ether element is more prominent. And once this Pancha Mahabhuta, where the bodies, where one by one these Pancha Mahabhuta elements are prominent, the gross body he gives up, then he moves to the subtle body in the sequence of giving up all the senses, then the mind, then the intelligence, false ego, in that particular sequence. So if we want to see or read through this particular sequence, there are multiple places in Srimad Bhagavatam where this sequence is mentioned, how the creation takes place. One place is chapter 5, which we are going to study in few weeks of time. So chapter 5 mentions sequence for creation. Similarly, Canto 3, chapter 5, 6 onwards, after Lord Brahma's prayers for creation, that place also there is a sequence of creation that is given. So basically the process of giving up of the gross and subtle body is exactly opposite. Krama Mukti is exactly opposite in sequence to what the creation takes place. So just like, to give a very crude example, say we have a pipe, and in that pipe we are putting one object after another in a sequence. So similarly, whatever is the last object that we are putting, when we are removing those objects, the last object will come out first. So similarly, whatever in the process of creation is the last sequential item, that will be given. Very simple. So here a crude example I have given. Say for example, a person wants to visit a foundry where a DT or where some form of the metal is made. Then while going in, first he may be given a identity card. Next he may be given a protective gear. Next he may be given a goggle to see the molten metal so that his eyes are protected. And when he leaves that particular foundry, then he would have to give those safety equipments back in same order one by one. So whatever he got last, he would have to give that up first. Then whatever identity card he got the first, he may have to return it the last. So similarly, in terms of creation, whatever the subtle and the gross elements of the body are created, the yogi gives them up in the same sequence in a reverse manner. So whatever is created the last, it is given up first, and whatever is created first is given up in the end. Are we still together, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Is it too technical?
It is. Yes, Prabhu, understood.
If it is too technical, just chant Hare Krishna. But for our purification, we should try our level best. Okay? Because Shukadev Goswami is explaining it, so it carries importance. That's why he has covered it. But if with our all intelligence we can't understand the sequence, just read it for purification. So we go back to the verse. So here it is mentioned how he gives up the body made of earth, then apaha, watery body, then fiery body, then vayu, and then kham, ethereal body. So that means all the bodies where these material elements are prominent compared to the other elements. So purport you can go through at your leisure. Hare Krishna. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can directly read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. The devotee thus surpasses the subtle objects of different senses, like aroma by smelling, the palate by tasting, vision by seeing forms, touch by contacting, the vibrations of the ear by ethereal identification, and the sense organs by material activities.
Yes. So these are the various sequences that are given in which the Virat Rupa meditator gives up his gross and subtle body.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhu, isn't it same as Dhritarashtra gave up? Also, is it the similar one or is it different style?
Good question. I saw this same question being asked by one of the brahmachari, one of the devotees here when he was speaking on this topic. So what Prabhuji mentioned is, it is certain based on Prabhuji's understanding that Dhritarashtra followed one of these two processes of Ashtanga Yoga practice. But whether he practiced Paramatma meditation or Virata Rupa meditation, that we are not sure. But he did practice the one of the two Ashtanga Yoga practices.
And both the processes, giving up the body is very similar, right? The Bhumi up or all that reverse goes. Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Rohini Mataji, continue.
Hare Krishna. Text 30, Prabhuji. Translation. The devotee, thus surpassing the gross and the subtle forms of coverings, enters the plane of egoism. And in that status, he merges the material modes of nature, ignorance, and passion in this point of neutralization, and thus reaches egoism in goodness. After this, all egoism is merged in the Mahat Tattva, and he comes to the point of pure self-realization.
Thank you, Mataji. So this particular sequence, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, all the gross and the subtle senses given up first, then a subtle body of mind, intelligence, and false ego being given up, then all this is merged. The last of the subtle body, false ego, is merged into Mahat, because from Pradhana, when it comes to creation, from Pradhana, Mahat Tattva is the first one which is activated by the Lord from the unmanifested modes of material nature, which are called as Pradhana. Mahat Tattva is the first aspect of creation. So when it comes to merging the gross and the subtle elements of the body, Mahat Tattva is in the end, followed by Pradhana in the same sequence in a reverse manner. So we proceed. So this you can read through Prabhuji's, Mataji's. I want to focus on the last part of this particular chapter. 1 second. Yes, Mataji. Translation continue.
Shloka 31. Only the purified soul can attain the perfection of associating with the personality of Godhead in complete bliss and satisfaction in his constitutional state. Whoever is able to renovate such devotional perfection is never again attracted by this material world, and he never returns.
Yes. So this particular stage, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, is the final destination achieved by the Virata Rupa meditator. And can anyone explain based on this particular word, English verse, English translation, what is the state that this yogi has achieved? Anyone? Rohini Mataji? What is the what destination does a yogi achieve in general?
Brahma
Realization. Correct. Merging into the impersonal Brahman, impersonal Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence coming out of the body of Brahman. He never returns to this material world. But what do we read in Srila Prabhupada's book, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, anyone? Jagadananda Prabhu? What do we read by in Srila Prabhupada's books for Brahman realization? Or Dhanya Dhameshwari Mataji or Asarangini Mataji?
There is no activity in the Brahman stage. That's the Brahma Jyoti. So they stay for a long time and then there is no interest there. They'll fall back to Madhyaloka.
Very nice, Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. So we read in Srila Prabhupada's books that in Brahman platform, there is every chance for such a person to come back to this material world. Whereas Bhagavatam states that he never returns. How do we reconcile these two statements? Anyone? How do we understand both are true? I won't ask any more difficult question. We are almost at the fag end. But
Prabhu, we won't return immediately. You stay for like Amara, what you said, for a very long time you will be hanging. And beyond the point, they have two choices. Even they can practice spirituality and go there, which is very difficult. So the next choice is they get bored and therefore they come back to the material world. This is my understanding.
Answer. In fact, it's very close to the exact answer. What mentioned.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yes, Usha Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, is it understood that once a person reaches that stage, he will not want to come back to the material world? He is so elevated that he has reached that devotional perfection and he never gets attracted by the material world and therefore continues to stay there and reach higher.
One thing to understand is right now the yogi has reached Brahman effulgence, that particular platform, but he the spiritual world. There is no engagement at that particular platform. So what Mataji mentioned, that while the person is free to stay at that particular platform as long as he wants and nobody can push him down from that particular platform, because of lack of active engagement in devotional service, there is a chance of that person, if he takes to spiritual life and advances to the Goloka or Vaikuntha, where there is a personal service to the Lord, then he is secured. But if it does not advance to the stage of personal devotional service to the Lord, there is a chance that soul is active in nature, and because of wanting to engage in activity, such a yogi can also fall down to the material world if he desires to engage in activities, if he does not take up to devotional service. Very simple. Okay, so both points are true. On one hand, we are saying that he cannot be forced down from that stage. That stage is basically he cannot be forced down to the material world, but he would, the criteria is he would have to in devotional service and be engaged in personal service to the Lord, where he will be elevated to Vaikuntha or Goloka. But if he continues to remain there, there is a good chance, because soul is very active. It is very difficult to stay idle. Okay. Are we together, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, how to reconcile both the statements?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Now we come to the last part, text 33 onwards. Yeah. Rohini Mataji, continue this one translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Your Majesty, Maharaja Parikshit, know that all that I have described in reply to your proper inquiry is just according to the version of the Vedas, and it is eternal truth. This was described personally by Lord Krishna unto Brahma, with whom the Lord was satisfied upon being properly worshipped. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, Shukadev Goswami is giving the pramana, based on which he explained these processes of directly achieving liberation and krama mukti to Maharaj Parikshit. And what is that pramana, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Pramana is that these particular paths, these particular processes were previously explained by Lord Krishna to Lord Brahma, and subsequently from Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasadev, Vyasadev to Shukadev Goswami, so on and so forth. So it is coming in disciplic succession. And Shukadev Goswami is giving this pramana to explain to Maharaj Parikshit the authenticity of these paths. One direct path for liberation, one is indirect path. But both are, one is Paramatma meditation, second is Virata Rupa meditation. So now he mentions his conclusion. Usha Mataji, you want to recite? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Nahyatonya Shiva Pantha.
Nahyatonya Shiva Panta.
Vishata Samsrita Iha.
Vishatam Samsritam Iha.
Vasudeve Bhagavati.
Vasudeve Bhagavati.
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhavet.
Bhakti Yogo Yato Bhavet.
Translation, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. For those who are wandering in the material universe, there is no more auspicious means of deliverance than what is aimed at in the direct devotional service of Lord Krishna.
Yes. So what do we understand from this verse? That Shukadev Goswami is such a premi bhakta, is such a devotee in loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, that he explained these other paths of yoga. What was his primary purpose? Usha Mataji, why did Shukadev Goswami explain these paths?
To show the superiority of Bhakti Yoga and also to provide alternative ways of saying that people have a choice of, reaching the ultimate.
And specifically, he mentioned these paths to address those set of audiences who were present in those assembled sages. We discussed that not everyone was on the platform of pure devotional service. There were few jnanis, few yogis. In order to address and bring them to the ultimate conclusion of pure devotional service, Shukadev Goswami explained these alternate paths. So here he is giving his natural conclusion to the overall discussion after covering these paths. What is Shukadev Goswami's conclusion? Ultimately, he is saying there is no auspicious means than direct devotional service of the Supreme Lord Krishna. That is his conclusion, Shukadev Goswami's conclusion. You can read through the highlighted part, Mataji.
Yes.
Start from the beginning.
The means of jnana and yoga and other allied disciplines are not independent in delivering a performer. Such activities help one to reach the stage of Bhakti Yoga after many, many years. In the Bhagavad Gita 12.5, it is said that those who are attached to the impersonal feature of the Absolute are liable to many troubles in the pursuit of their desired goal. And the empiricist philosophers, searching after the absolute truth, realize the importance of Vasudeva realization as all in all after many, many births. Bhagavad Gita 7.19. As far as yoga systems are concerned, it is also said in the Bhagavad Gita 6.47 that amongst the mystics who pursue the absolute truth, the one who is always engaged in the service of the Lord is the greatest of all. And the last instruction in the Bhagavad Gita 18.66 advises fully surrendering unto the Lord, leaving aside all other engagements or different processes for self-realization and liberation from material bondage. And the purport of all Vedic literatures is to induce one to accept the transcendental loving service of the Lord by all means.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Last part of the highlighted purport, that is the conclusion why Shukadev Goswami is mentioning all these other paths to induce audience coming from different backgrounds to ultimately take up the process of loving devotional service to Lord Krishna. And all these verses Srila Prabhupada quotes and has given the numbers. Are they familiar, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Do they click immediately when we read the purport? Even
Yes, Prabhu.
What is verse 12.5? It is Klesha Adhika.
Tesham Avyakta Chakta Chetasams. Avyakta hi Gatirtikam Dehavam Bhavatis.
So how the path of impersonalism is very, very klesha. It is very, very troublesome. 719 is Bahunam Janmanam Ante. 647 is Yoginam Api Sarvesham. And 1866 is Sarvadharman Parityajya. So how Srila Prabhupada is driving the point that ultimately Shukadev Goswami wants to bring people, transcendentalists from all the other different paths, to this one conclusion, that surrender to Lord Krishna is the highest one. And now we come to the proper conclusion further. Usha Mataji, continue please.
Yes, Prabhuji. Shall I read the text also, the verse also?
Translation you can read, Mataji.
Okay, translation. The great personality Brahma, with great intention and concentration of the mind, studied the Vedas 3 times, and after scrutinizingly examining them, he ascertained that attraction for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, is the highest perfection of religion.
Thank you. Thank you. So continuing with his pramana, that how Lord Krishna explained this knowledge of the various paths for direct and indirect realization of Brahman platform to Lord Brahma, Shukadev Goswami is mentioning that, my dear King Parikshit, Lord Brahma has studied the Vedic scriptures minimum 3 times scrutinizingly, and then he has reached this realization. So don't trust me, trust the predecessor acharyas, Guru Parampara, Lord Brahma. One second. Yeah, continue with the translation.
Yes. Text 35, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence.
Thank you. And now we come to the very important verse. I have a question on this verse. You can recite this verse, Usha Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 36. Tasmat sarvatmana rajan.
Tasmat sarvatmana
Rajan.
Hari sarvatra sarvada.
Hari sarvatra sarvada.
Protavya kirtiyavyascha.
Shrotavya kirtiyavyascha.
Smartavyo Bhagavan Rinam.
Smartavyo Bhagavan Rinam.
Translation, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada ki jai. King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere.
Yes. So my question to you, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, is this exact same conclusion given by Shukadev Goswami earlier? And yes, where? Can we relate the last 2 statements of this verse? Does it click? Gunavati Mataji and Sanjay Mataji and Prema Prakash Prabhu and other devotees. Where does this conclusion come earlier as well by Shukadev Goswami? This is a very famous verse. Please try to find. Anand Vilas Prabhu.
I don't know the verse number, but Tasmad Ekin Manasa Bhagavan Satvatam Pati.
Correct. That was 215.
Sotavya Kirtitavyascha Dheya Pujascha Nityada. Like that, there is one verse.
215. Usha.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes,
Canto.
Yes, Prabhuji. 2.1.5. Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma.
Tasmad Bharata
Sarvatma.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi.
Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi.
Protavya Kirti Avyascha.
Protavya Kirti Avyascha.
Smartavyas Cheta Bhayam.
Exactly same selection, use of word. Shotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyo Bhagavan Nunam. So exact same recommendation Shukadev Goswami had given before starting the paths of yoga practice, the direct and the indirect paths. So that was Shukadev Goswami's original conclusion. And now, after explaining these other paths for realizing Lord Krishna, Shukadev Goswami is again driving us to same conclusion. The point is, his conclusion has not changed. Only thing is that he has covered in between the other paths just to address different types of transcendentalists who were present in the assembly and even outside to address those type of persons to drive to the ultimate conclusion. Are all of us together, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, to understand the context of Shukadev Goswami presenting path of bhakti versus other paths of transcendental realization?
Prabhuji.
With
Yes,
this,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So maybe we'll just read through the highlighted part and then we go to the last verse for today. Please continue, Usha Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Without hearing sufficiently and properly, no one can make any progress by any of the methods of practice. And for hearing only, all the Vedic literatures are there, compiled by authorized persons like Vyasadeva, who is the powerful incarnation of Godhead. And since it has been ascertained that the Lord is the super soul of everything, he should therefore be heard and glorified everywhere and always. That is the special duty of the human being. It is said here that it is incumbent upon the human beings to hear because the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are made for that purpose. Living beings other than human beings have no ability to hear such Vedic literatures. If human society gives itself to the process of hearing the Vedic literature, it will not become a victim to the impious sounds vibrated by impious men who degrade the standards of the total society. Hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. One who has perfectly heard from the perfect source becomes convinced about the all-pervading personality of Godhead and thus becomes enthusiastic in glorifying the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Beautiful purport. Srila Prabhupada is saying only one who has properly heard from spiritual master, from her spiritual master, only they will be able to properly glorify the Supreme Lord. And this is true. This is so true in the case of Srila Prabhupada himself. He was so fond of his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, only because of that, properly hearing from his spiritual master, whatever came out of his writings, whatever came out of his mouth, it was all exactly as per the parampara. There was no diversion anywhere. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning if we want to properly glorify the Lord, first we will have to hear the Guru Parampara thoroughly, properly. Only then we will be able to do Kirtana, if the Shravanam is proper. And now we come to the last verse. Directly read through the translation, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of Him, the personality of Godhead.
And highlighted part.
Yes, the highest perfectional thinking for human society is suggested here by Shukdev Goswami, namely, sufficiently hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. For men in this age of Kali, where they have lost the perfect vision of life, this Srimad Bhagavatam is the torchlight by which to see the real path. By sufficient hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, the polluted aim of life, namely lording it over matter, will subside, and the people in general, in all parts of the world, will be able to live a peaceful life of knowledge and bliss. And by the constant hearing of the messages of the Bhagavad Gita and later of Srimad Bhagavatam, one is assured herein by Srila Shukadev Goswami that he will reach the personality of Godhead and render him transcendental loving service in the spiritual planet of the name Goloka, Vrindavan, which resembles a huge lotus flower.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Here in the last 3 verses, Shukadev Goswami is very clear-cut explaining to Maharaj Parikshit his ultimate conclusion that the sole object for Shrotavya, Kirtitavya and Smartavya, for hearing about, chanting and glorify and remember has to be Supreme Lord Krishna. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is driving the point how hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is the prime necessity if one wants to be qualified to glorify Krishna. Very simple. And then he is concluding what is the Shruti Phala. What is the Phala? The Phala means what is the benefit such a person will get if he continuously keeps on hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. He would ultimately achieve lasting peace, knowledge, and bliss. And he will ultimately achieve personality and render him loving service in the spiritual planet. So this is a very, very important chapter where some of the technicalities we saw in the last chapter and this chapter, how the path of meditation on the Supreme. One is direct meditation in the form of Paramatma, and second is Krama Mukti, indirect meditation and indirect achievement of liberation in the form of Krama Shaha Mukti for the Virata Rupa meditator. But point is, Srimad Bhagavatam and Shukadev Goswami, they are all inclusive. They are also discounting for personalities who are not exactly on the platform of pure devotional service and bringing them to the conclusion of pure devotional service. So with this, we would conclude chapter number 2 here. It was a bit technical chapter. We had few breaks in between, but devotees can give time to revise based on these notes. And if there are any queries, we can discuss those separately. Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Hare Krishna. Anyone? Question, queries, comments? Hare Krishna. All right.
Prabhuji, just one doubt, Prabhuji. So Parikshit Maharaj had never heard or read, never heard the Srimad Bhagavatam earlier to this?
To be honest, the answer for this question is both yes and no. He definitely would have heard before because he was a devotee of the Lord, heard in terms of the glorification of Lord Krishna, heard in terms of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. But in a formal setup with the intention of hearing being what to do for a dying man, in that particular mood, he is hearing only now. Okay. So glorification as a devotee of the Lord, he would have definitely heard great personalities before, but a focused hearing with the intention of preparing for death, that is a different thing altogether.
Yes.
Prabhuji, is it not the first time that publicly Bhagavatam was also recited by?
In terms of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, yes.
Bhagavatam.
It also mentioned that the pure devotees of the Lord, they are always hearing glorification of the Lord. Like somebody like Arjuna, we see that came back from Dwaraka. His constant remembrance was the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, even for a pure devotee like Parikshit Maharaj, whatever his grandparents would have taught him, he would have heard glorification of Krishna before, but not in such a structured format now.
Because it covers everything, the creation, annihilation, destruction, everything it covers. Whereas that he would not have heard.
Any other question, comment? Hare Krishna. Let me quickly see. Rohini Mataji, have you already shared the link?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there is also one Mataji who asked me to add her in attendance just to confirm whether I should.
Check with Rasarangini Mataji separately. Okay. We need to check based on some of the cases we have seen, we want to be very, very careful because there were few not so pleasant experiences for some of the devotees. So let us verify the background properly. Okay.
I'll check with Rohini Mataji and I'll come back. Hare Krishna.
So let me quickly just show you that you can stop the recording, Mataji, once.